Have you ever heard a story that seemed heartbreaking at first, only to take a turn no one saw coming? A grieving mother claimed that routine childhood vaccines had taken the lives of her twin boys. The story spread across social media, fueled emotional debates, and sparked nationwide attention. But months later, investigators announced a completely different theory, one that transformed a family tragedy into a shocking murder case. Andrea Shaw and her husband lived in the quiet town of Payette, Idaho, where they were raising their 18-month-old twin sons, Tyson and Dallas. To those around them, they appeared to be an ordinary young family trying to build a life together. Then, in May 2025, everything changed. Emergency responders were called to the family's home after the two toddlers were found unresponsive. Despite every effort, both boys were pronounced dead, leaving the community stunned and their loved ones searching for answers. In the weeks that followed, Andrea publicly claimed that the tragedy was connected to routine childhood vaccinations. The family's story quickly gained attention online, with interviews, podcasts, and social media posts spreading across the internet. Supporters believed the family had suffered an unimaginable loss, while others urged people to wait for the official investigation before reaching any conclusions. But behind the scenes, detectives, forensic specialists, and medical experts were conducting their own investigation. As they carefully examined the evidence, they reached conclusions that were dramatically different from the public narrative. Months later, prosecutors alleged that the twins had not died from natural causes at all. Instead, they accused Andrea Shaw of intentionally causing their deaths, leading to first-degree murder charges that shocked the nation and completely changed the direction of the case. As the public focused on the family's emotional interviews, investigators quietly began examining every detail behind the scenes. What first appeared to be a heartbreaking medical tragedy soon became one of the most complex investigations in Idaho. Detectives interviewed family members, neighbors, medical professionals, and anyone who had been in contact with the Shaw family before the twins died. At the same time, forensic specialists carefully reviewed medical records, autopsy findings, and physical evidence collected from the home. According to prosecutors, the evidence did not support the claim that routine vaccinations had caused the deaths of Tyson and Dallas. Instead, they alleged the children had died from intentional acts, leading investigators to shift the case from an unexplained tragedy to a homicide investigation. Every new piece of evidence was carefully documented, and prosecutors worked to build a timeline of the twins' final hours. As the investigation continued, authorities believed they had gathered enough evidence to present the case to a grand jury. After reviewing months of investigative work, the grand jury returned a decision that stunned both the local community and people across the country. Andrea Shaw was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder. She was later taken into custody, and the case instantly became one of America's most talked-about criminal investigations. Supporters questioned how a grieving mother could suddenly become the prime suspect, while prosecutors insisted the evidence told a very different story. The investigation had completely transformed the public narrative, and now the battle was moving from the investigation room into the courtroom, where every allegation would face intense legal scrutiny. When Andrea Shaw appeared in court, the atmosphere was completely different from the emotional interviews that had first brought national attention to the case. This was no longer a public debate on social media. It was a criminal prosecution, and prosecutors were asking the court to treat the deaths of Tyson and Dallas as intentional acts. Andrea Shaw was formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and the judge set a multi-million-dollar bond as the case moved forward. Prosecutors argued that the evidence gathered during the investigation supported their allegations. They pointed to forensic findings, medical reviews, and the timeline detectives had built over many months. Their position was that the twins' deaths could not be explained by natural causes, and that the case should proceed toward trial. The courtroom became the first place where those allegations were publicly tested under legal scrutiny. The defense responded forcefully. Andrea Shaw's attorneys denied the allegations and argued that prosecutors were drawing conclusions before a jury had heard all of the evidence. They questioned the strength of the state's case and emphasized that Andrea Shaw remained presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court.